America today, we have really two choices coming into this election of 2020. And those two choices are, do you like freedom and do you want wealth? I mean, really, that's it. Freedom and wealth. You know, the left is going to lie to you. They're going to lie to you and they're going to say the orange man is bad. Donald Trump is not as, pro-American as he seems. Donald Trump's economy isn't really doing well. They're going to lie to you about everything that they can possibly think up in order to sway you away from supporting Republican candidates. And then on the right, I feel like they're going to be on the defensive, explaining themselves in a way that is like, hey, look, man, this is the way it really is. And you as a voter are going to be confused on which side is telling the truth. So let me help dispel a little bit of the narratives that we've had so far. First of all, Donald Trump, I'm a supporter of him. Let me just openly say that right now, okay? Before Donald Trump became president, I did not support the man. I was a Ted Cruz supporter. I liked Ted Cruz. I like Rand Paul. Still like Ted Cruz, and I still like Rand Paul. But I scoffed at the idea, and I think it was Ann Coulter that first announced that she thinks Donald Trump was the front runner for the Republican Party for president. I scoffed at the idea of President Donald Trump. I looked at the man like he was a joke. I looked at the man like he was a television host, honestly. I did not take him seriously at all. And why am I being so forthcoming about that? Because I want you to understand that I'm being authentic in this video. Now, since he's been elected to president, that man has really impressed me. He's tried hard to answer the American voters in a way that lets us know that, number one, the dialogue between us and him has continued. People hate that he uses Twitter because he uses Twitter to fulfill his promises and to communicate to the American people, his voters, his constituencies, his, supporters. I think that's great. I love that he does that. And I look at that as a campaign promise that he fulfills. He hasn't, just, taken over the White House and, shrouded the place in silence. I mean, he's very communicative with his supporters. So that's the first thing that I'm impressed about. Number two, he didn't soften his stance on illegal immigration. Man, I can't stand illegal immigration. I'll be honest with you. I'm not racist, but I never, ever grew up and thought, hey, what would be really cool is if Latin America and Central America suddenly just moved in next door. When I grew up in Oklahoma, the communities in which I've been raised and I love are completely radically different and changed. Man, we didn't vote for that. That's the Democrat Party's fault. They're the ones that keep throwing these incentives out there for these foreigners to come into our communities illegally and to take our jobs and to clog up our community services. And it's got to come to an end, man. We have legal immigration for a reason. If you want to move to America and you want to join our country and be considered a citizen, then I think that's a really positive thing. But my goodness, you criminals that are out there trying to circumvent the system, trying to, get here in a way that is illegal or not the way that our immigration laws and policies have laid out for you, man, I can't stand you folk. I look at you as scammers. I look at you as people that need to be deported, and I pray that happens to you, all of you, your whole families. Go home, man, and then come here the legal way. Do you know how hard people have to work to be able to migrate legally? There's paperwork that has to be applied for. There's a cost to these individuals, not only a financial cost, but they got to think about it emotionally. They're worried if they're going to be approved or not. And you get to skip all of that. You get to, make those people go through what they have to go through to migrate here so you can jump to the front of the line. No. Throw the line cutters across the border back to whichever country they come from and then bill them for it. That's the way I look at it. And I appreciate that Donald Trump has not changed his tune on that. I appreciate that Donald Trump has honesty to take an unpopular position and then take the heat for it. That's admirable. Donald Trump is also trying to get this wall constructed, even though that has been probably one of the most historically unpopular ideas that I've ever seen a president push forward. I mean, he has taken so many shots because of his determination to keep his word to us. It's appalling. Donald Trump has helped the VA. I'm a veteran, okay? So when I used to go to the VA, You had to wait, and there was no getting around it. And now, like, I've actually had surgery over in June at a sports clinic with a sports doctor who works on athletes, who was able to do something to my arm that normal VA surgeons weren't able to do. It still hurts. I'm still suffering. I'm still dealing with it. But I tell you what, it's not as bad as it was. Now, why did I have that option? Donald Trump's choice program that the liberals actually want to claim started with Obama. No, here's the deal. When Obama was in office, I had no options for community care. So how the hell are you going to say Obama is the one that started it when nothing changed the entire time Obama was in office? And I promise you, if Obama would have started it, he would have taken all the credit before he left, because, you know, he'd have been like, look what I did for you, because that's the kind of man he is. Nothing changed. Trump changed it, okay? VA is better now. The VA is not perfect, but it's better. And that's the whole reason why I think that the government should stay out of healthcare, is because the VA is not perfect. When you can fix, you being the government, can fix the VA to where it's not such a racket, then perhaps we can talk about the government, you know, taking over the healthcare industry. Until then, leave the private market alone. You know, we've got veterans out here that can't even get a cavity fixed. You know, they get shot at, you know, they get physically wounded, and they have their whole lives, they have to live with these injuries, but the government can't find a way to pay for a cavity to get filled, and you want to tell me that the government should take over healthcare? No, just shut up, okay? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I like Donald Trump's position on healthcare as well. I think the industry does need to stay privatized. I think that there's better options for more people that way. You know, and I don't want this to become too lengthy of a video, but, you know, I think that Trump has done a very good job with the economy. And yes, everybody's like looking at the economy like this week, for instance, saying, oh, well, you know, it's not as good as it could have been. The steel market, the farmers, blah, 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 blah. Look, idiots, we're still in a trade war, okay? We're still in a trade war with China. That's going to take a long time. You know, we're talking about what's going to look like in 10 years, okay? We have to hang tough. They are literally stealing our entire industrial base, moving everything offshore because they could build it with nickel labor and then send it back over here with 2,000% markup prices. You know, that shit's got to come to an end. Why is it coming to an end? Well, because we have a president that actually cares about the American people. That's why. Because he has the guts to stand there and take the criticism from all these media organizations, many of which I would almost guarantee have ties to China, you know, because there's a lot of similarities between the liberal left and the communist China, actually. I'm going to make a different video pointing out some of those parallels, but no, they're quick to defend China. When's the last time you heard ABC, CBS, NBC, and, you know, attack China, communist China, with the Hong Kong riots? I don't know, man. Like, when's the last time you've actually heard them come down hard on the communist regime? You know, I've heard of them come down hard on other people, and that may or may not be expressing support for communist China, but I've never actually heard them directly oppose Beijing. Interesting there. You know, I'm getting sidetracked on a you know, point that probably doesn't matter all that much. Back to the issue that I was discussing. You know, our economy is going to continue to show signs of, you know, weakness and strength in a pattern until we really won this trade war with China, and that's going to take a long time. Vote Trump, man. We need to finish what we started with this wall. We need to finish what we started with these illegal immigrants that keep coming over, looking for handouts, looking for American jobs, taking American money and sending it to a foreign country. We need to continue hanging tough with China. We need to continue guaranteeing that America is not going to become entangled with foreign wars that we have no business being a part of. Trump has been a blessing to America, and I am an enthusiastic supporter of him this election, even though, as I said before, I did not support Trump when he first announced his candidacy for presidency. Now, I couldn't support him more. This is Red. Thanks for watching.